program was sponsored by...
The muscle car lives. The new Firebird Trans Am by Pontiac.
In the next half hour, Weather Center PM, a comprehensive national forecast. At 40 after, Weather Center PM continues with highway and air travel conditions. Then the weekend outlook. And at 50 after, Storm Watch. But right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
A mid-level disturbance is still bringing rain to portions of the south. Good evening and welcome to Weather Center. I'm Sharon Resultan.
And I'm Paul Emick. We'll examine the rest of the country coming up in a moment, and we'll also have the all-important Saturday forecast just a bit later. But first, let's talk about some rain across the south, and some of it's still around. It started out, though, as a hot and sticky day in Miami, but then we got the rain. Cooled it off just a bit. Temperatures went from the mid-80s down to the mid-70s, so we cooled a bit, but periods of heavy rain were not exactly the best trade-off. You could even see some thunderstorms happening throughout this evening as things went on. We had some storms, and we're not dealing with an absence of wet weather across the southeast tonight. In Miami, we're still expecting additional shower chances. There's a big picture. We've got two spots to look at here and here. First of all, let's check out Florida. A little bit wet in parts of southern Florida, and still showery, too, in the Panhandle. On Pensacola, maybe on Panama City, you might get a shower or two. Look at this, though. Still pretty wet tonight, and unfortunately built to stay that way in many spots as well. Close vantage point here shows things are pretty wet around Miami and even toward Key West. At around maybe hitting Duval Street tonight, walking around, good place to be. May encounter some showers here shortly with some more coming back in, maybe toward the dry Tortugas. Also a little bit wet around Lauderdale, maybe toward Boca. We could get expectation of a few more showers around too. There's the big picture too, with a look at some of the clouds kind of flying through southeastern U.S. In addition, you can have a look at the clouds and also where we're dealing with lightning. We'll add that information here as well. Number of strikes popping up, as you can see from the counter here, about last 15 minutes, about 416. Number of strikes recorded. Not much happening here in Florida now, apparently right now. Around Columbus, Georgia earlier, some lightning. Things are quieter. But not too far from Augusta, a large number of strikes kind of coupled right here. And when we see an area that gets a lot of frequent lightning strikes in a short period of time, there's also a correlation where we often see some fairly heavy amounts of rain as well. So just not too far from Augusta, but south, that heavy rain there is still a problem and could cause problems on the road as well. Toward Birmingham, a little bit wet, but on toward Atlanta, it looks like maybe a chance of a sprinkle or two moving in. Mostly some light to moderate rain, though. Temperatures, those are kind of heavy in some spots. A little sticky feeling for Panama City at 79. In Orlando, International Boulevard, 76. Toward Atlanta, though, 71. And 86 to Dallas, 83 to Houston. That's a look at the southeast, where we have some showers and still some showers and a lingering storm or two toward Augusta. Lots of other weather to talk about in the northeast and upper Midwest and even toward the west coast in a moment. Right now, with part of the story, here's Sharon.
Thanks, Paul. Earlier today, strong storms moved through the northeast, bringing rain, thunder, and some strong winds to the region. Thankfully, the storms have moved away from the area at this time. Those of you ready to enjoy a night out in the Big Apple had to deal with the storm first. Many of you had to dodge the raindrops as you made your way along the streets. As the heavy rain and thunderstorms roared through the city, it slowed down traffic as well as pedestrians. And the storm in the northeast proved deadly today in Oneida Lake near Syracuse, New York. Police say a man was killed when the strong storms knocked a tree on top of him. Rescues had to cut the tree from around the man before paramedics could even begin to help. He died on the way to the hospital. Let's go ahead and show you some of the severe reports. Now again, when we talk about severe reports, we're talking about reports of 3/4-inch hail or larger, or winds stronger than 58 miles per hour. We didn't really have a whole lot of hail with these thunderstorms. That wasn't the big deal. The big deal was the winds associated with the storms, and there was a lot of wind, and we have damage reports across this entire area. Everything from downed trees and power lines to even some structural damage to some outdoor structures as well. So obviously it's been a very rough night across the Great Lakes on into the northeast. Fortunately, as the radar shows you, a lot of the activity is pushing on out. In and around Boston, drier weather for you. Just the eastern tip of Long Island still seeing some significant rainfall. We can zoom in a little closer. A little ground clutter in and around New York City, but just south of New York and heading down just north of Atlantic City, there is still some rain. And another little band of thunderstorms poised to move on in toward Baltimore as we go into the next 30 minutes or so. We take you into the Ohio River Valley. We'll find some rain here from around Columbus and around Dublin, site of the Memorial Golf Tournament. So that's going to moisten up some of the fairways and greens all the way back to just north of Cincinnati, and a new batch of some showers ready to move on into Indianapolis and Speedway. So there will be a few areas of some rain, but we haven't had any severe reports in that region for quite some time. Now you follow the front all the way back on out, and we are going to find a potential still for some strong thunderstorms here into the Dakotas and on into Nebraska. A watch area has been established for the potential for severe thunderstorms heading into Sioux County, into western portions of Nebraska, out over open country, severe thunderstorm warning, and also into Custer County. We'll continue to bring you the latest on severe weather there. Paul?
All right, Sharon, speaking of rain, the clouds and the showers continued today across the west, but the weekend doesn't look too bad. We'll have the forecast in a moment. But first, let's look at some scenes a little bit earlier, a little bit of a soaking into parts of California. Had to deal with some showers on and off today around San Francisco Bay. The rain kept us a bit on the cool side, lower 60s mostly. Many people had to put on a sweater or maybe a light jacket, too, to venture outside. Partly cloudy skies on the way for Saturday. Temperatures about mid-60s or so close to the coast. We could be a bit warmer than that just a bit further inland. Pretty good news. Let's crank some warmth back up. 63 the high today, 61 yesterday. We're due for some warmer and some brighter weather. Here's a front. It's well ashore now, but still a little cooler back behind it, and still some, well, you can even see the area of circulation, too, where you can look at kind of the counterclockwise motion. One of the things we look at is an indication of low pressure from a satellite vantage point. You can really see it, too, from the wet weather here. Still northern parts of Idaho toward Seattle, and even around Portland and Hillsborough tonight, we're dealing with our rain. Further south, a little wet into parts of Nevada, like around Elko, but toward Redding and Eureka and Ukiah, been kind of showery off and on. Reports of snow on occasion, too, toward Tahoe. 59 to Reno, though. 63 was the high for San Francisco. A hot 96 to Phoenix, where we're cooling nicely tonight to about 89. 74 in the mile-high city of Denver. Storms on the move back where these just came from. Still wet in the southeast and wet in the west. Let's look at how these things will affect our Saturday with Sharon.
All right, we'll start you out looking at the maps as we head on into your Saturday. And the same areas that I showed you where we might find some severe development here into the northern plains, upper Midwest, that's the region we're going to watch for Saturday too. As a matter of fact, some of that moisture will be moving toward the Great Lakes, and there might even be a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms, areas like Chicago and Milwaukee, as we head through the day on Saturday. Notice, even though you have a front lingering just to your southeast here in this portion of the country into the New England area, we're not really too worried about any shower development. That's because we're going to have some drier air moving into this area. Scattered showers, maybe a few thunderstorms in the southeast, still unsettled heading into the northwest. There's a look at your rain profile, how much rain you might expect from some of these thunderstorms, and still some substantial amounts heading into the Plain States. And finally, we work our way into the middle of the nation. Lots of warmth, and some of that warmth all the way into southern New England. Looking good for Boston, New York.
Yeah, sounds pretty good.